Okay, today we're going to talk about simple interest. Now, when I say simple interest, I'm not talking about things or topics that you're interested in or things you like to do or learn about. I'm talking about interest. I'm talking about a percentage of money that you either get charged or get back to. So imagine if I'm going to buy a car and that car costs $30,000. I'm probably not going to give all $30,000 at once. I might not have that much money. So I take out a loan. Same thing if you're buying a house. And when you take out the loan, the bank or the car company, the financing organization, will give you the money to buy that car and you'll pay them back. But instead of just paying them back that $30,000, they charge you a percent on top, which is called interest. That's how they make money. If you put money into a bank, the bank will actually give you interest on top of it. Okay, so you can actually get interest back depending on if you're investing or if you borrowed it. Okay, so this formula right here is the formula we use when calculating simple interest. I equals P times R times T. Okay, the P is the principal. It's the amount of money you borrowed or you earned. The I is the interest that you pay back on top of the principal. The R is the percent that is charged or earned, and the T is the time the money is borrowed or invested. Okay, so let's say that I borrowed my principal. I borrowed $2,000, and my rate was 6% that the bank was going to charge me 6% interest, and I have 3 years to pay that money back. So I'm going to set it up using my simple interest formula. My interest is something I don't know yet. But I have $2,000 times 0.06. You have to turn this percentage into a decimal. And 6% is 6/100ths. 0.06 times 3 years. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply. And the first thing I chose to do, because it's easy, is 2,000 times 3. So 2,000 times 3 is 6,000. 6,000 times 0.6. Remember, multiplication is commutative. I can do it in any order. It doesn't matter what order I multiply the numbers in. And over here I'll show you that 6,000 times 0.06. I have 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 6 is 36. I move the decimal over twice, and my answer is $360. So, when I paid my money back to the bank, I have to pay back the original $2,000 plus this extra $360. Okay, remember that's how the bank is going to make its money. Okay, now the next one, they're going to give me my interest, they're going to give me my rate, they're even going to give me the amount of time. But what I don't know is how much money did I borrow at the beginning. Okay. So what I do is I just plug in the things that I know into my formula. I know that my I is 200. I know that my R is 0.04. I know that my T is 5. Okay? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to combine these numbers. So I'm going to have to solve for P. I'm going to multiply these two numbers first. So if I come over here, I know that 0.04 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. Then I have to move the decimal over twice. Okay. So that leaves me with, 200 equals P times, and when I multiplied these two together over here, 0.20. Now, I have to use the inverse operation to get this variable P by itself. And we've done this quite a bit before. So since I multiplied this P times 0.20, I have to use the inverse operation. I have to divide by 0.20. And since if I divide one side of the equation by 0.20, I have to divide the other side by 0.20. So I'm going to come over here. Now, what I need to do is, I have to move this, before I divide my 200 divided by 0.20, I'm going to have to move this decimal over to this side. 2 point, really nothing. And if I do that, well then I have to move a decimal over inside too. I don't have a decimal there, so I have to put, the decimal comes after the last 0, but to move it over I have to add another 0, then put the decimal. Now you can probably figure out that 2 goes into 2,000 1,000 times. I'm not going to work this out down here. Okay? Because you can figure that out. I should even probably put the decimal right there too. Okay? Now I should probably put a 0 here and a 0 here, but I don't need to. Okay? And my answer, I don't even need to put that decimal because there's nothing after it. So I know that when I divide this side, p times 220 divided by 220, those on the top and the bottom are going to cancel each other out, and I get a p. And when I did my math problem over here, my division problem, 200 divided by 0.20 equals 1,000. Okay? So I started out by borrowing $1,000. That's my p. And if I multiplied it by my rate, 4%, 0.04, and 5 years, my interest is $200. So I'd have to pay back my $1,000 plus 200 more. Now the same technique that I used to solve this one for the principal is the same technique I used to solve it for rate or for the time. I multiply the two numbers I have together, then divide both sides by that number. Okay? So it doesn't matter which one of these I do, I'm going to multiply the two numbers I have, then divide by it. Okay? Alright.